Well, I'm 22 years old. I was raised in a small town called Melrose in upstate New York. My whole life I was around parties and alcohol, and my parents had problems of their own. They were always fighting, and it was a tough atmosphere to live in. I was secluded from my friends. I started doing things that I'd never wanted to do, and one day I was going for a ride and we were looking to buy a bag, and we bought a bag, and it was just like, you can smoke a blunt with us, we'll be all right, man, don't worry about buying. So I was like, all right, man. So we smoked, and we went for a ride after, and I was like really in la la land pretty much, and we were going through a park waiting for my friend's girlfriend to get home. And as we're walking through the park, my friend's like, dude, I'm scared, man. I'm like, what do you mean, man? He's like, I'm freaking out, I don't know if there's something in it or not. And I'm like, dude, all of a sudden it was like that. I'm like, oh man, I'm scared too. So it got to the point where I'm gonna die, you know what I mean? I was alone. I was with this friend who wasn't doing nothing for me. I'm like, man, you gotta bring me to a hospital, man. I'm flipping out. I think I'm gonna die. My heart's beating like crazy. He's like, no way, man. We'll get in trouble, man. We smoked, man. Our parents will find out. We'll be in trouble. I'm like, you gotta bring me. And he wouldn't bring me, man. And it hurt, man. And I was like to the point where I thought it was over and I was gonna die. And I was saying to myself, God, I'm only 17. I don't want to go out like this. I never wanted to be involved. I'm just doing this to be cool, to be like my friend who seems to be cooler than me because he's doing things that I don't like to do. So they're like, Dustin, get up, man, get up, wake up, you all right, man, you all right? And so I got up, and it was like I was in a whole nother world. It felt like I was in the middle of heaven and hell, and I was to be judged. It was crazy. We were talking about drugs, and it was like he knew what was going on, what had happened to me, and it was kind of scared me. So I went to bed that night, and I woke up the next morning. I was like, what happened to me yesterday? What was that? And I couldn't figure it out. So I went to the people who we smoked with. I'm like, what was in that blunt, man? What was in it? And they wouldn't tell me. They're like, nothing, man. Don't worry about it. You're being a wimp, man. Don't worry about it. I'm like, I gotta know, man. I freaked out yesterday, man. They're like, nothing. Just go away, man. You're all right. From that day, I slipped into this depression and anxiety to the point where I thought I was gonna die, and it was like I didn't know what to do. I was anxiety, depression, worry, doubt. I just was in hell on earth, pretty much. So the people never told me what was in that blunt, and I was so confused, and I was thinking to the point where I wanted to die. I didn't know what had happened to me. I was flipped out. I was in a whole nother state of mind, and I just wanted to die. And I was afraid I was going to hurt myself or kill myself, but I knew if I killed myself, I was off to a worse place than I started. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. But ever since that day, I never really figured out what was in that blunt. And I went to their house a couple days later, and after the depression and went away, and I felt suitable to go and approach them after what had happened to me a couple months before. And they're like, oh, dude, we were just messing with you, man. There's angel dust in that. Have you ever smoked that before? I'm like, what? Angel dust, man? I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with that. Why'd you do that to me, man? I thought you were my friends, man. They're like, oh, you're just a wimp. You can't handle it, man. You just can't roll with the big boys, I guess.
Maybe this is me. Maybe I am Dustin. Or maybe I could become Dustin. What makes me think that this can't happen to me?